Hello, everybody, and welcome to New Music Friday. This is today's live stream. It is March 4th, 2022, and this is the show where I give you guys the big prog news headlines for the week, the things that have interested me, that I've been excited about, and hopefully you guys can join in, and, we'll see if people join in the chat. I'll probably a bit later in the show maybe address if people are asking things or chiming in the chat. But for right now, I'll kind of just jump right into the big headlines. It was kind of a big week, I think. And so I have some interesting news items that I wanted to share with you all. And hopefully you guys are having an okay week out there. I know there's some kind of crazy stuff happening in the world, but hopefully we can maybe find some peace in some measure through kind of getting excited about some of these music items of stuff that's coming up in the world of prog. So first thing, today's release day for a couple major prog releases. So I wanted to mention those at the top of the show. So first we've got The Flower Kings by Royal Decree is out. And I have the copy of it above my head. I just got that one in, which I was really excited to receive it. I'll be doing a review of it. I love the Flower Kings. They're one of my top favorite groups, so I'm really excited to jump into that, and I'll definitely be doing a review of it this upcoming week. That should be out. It's kind of the third album in their kind of newer trilogy of albums with Miracles and Islands is the other one. So really cool kind of vintage prog symphonic stuff, kind of classic Flower Kings that you'd expect in this big expanded double album. So an album definitely worth checking out. Then we've got the new Marillion album, which came out today as well, An Hour Before It's Dark, which is getting a lot of buzz, a lot of people talking about it. I have listened to it once, but there's definitely more listening I want to do before I can give my kind of full thoughts and opinions, but it sounds magnificent. It's a really great new release from them that's strongly recommended, of course, to all big prog fans out there. There's a lot of fans of Marillion, and this album seems to be quite successful and harkening back to kind of the classic like Marbles album and things like that, and a bit of kind of their modern sound that they've been doing on their last few releases. So that should be a cool one to check out. And I saw kind of interesting, kind of along with that news, I saw that there was a special fleet of black cabs in London that are emblazoned with the artwork for this record, driving around for this week, a 2-week period between today and March 14th. And it says if you flag one down and quote the password An Hour Before It's Dark, you'll get a free trip anywhere in London in exchange for a social media post, either inside or next to the vehicle. So just they kind of have a unique way of marketing and doing those types of things with these new albums. So I thought that was really interesting and different from what other prog bands have done. So really kind of a cool concept, I suppose. Just something that kind of made me chuckle as I saw it. Like, that's a very unique way to promote your album, but I respect the game. So that one, both those albums are available anywhere. Your albums are sold. You can pre-order, I guess not pre-order because they're out now. So you can order them in a variety of formats, on vinyl, on CD, and digital, and all of that stuff. So those are definitely big releases that I wanted to talk about at the top of the show here. And both of them will be getting album reviews coming your way soon. Marillion might be a little longer. I try to do like an album review a week. That's kind of the pace that works for me. So it might, since I've kind of already bookmarked Flower Kings for this upcoming week, it's probably going to be pushed to the next week for Marillion. So, but it will be coming, and way in the future, I believe I'm going to be doing an album rankings of their whole catalog. So that should be kind of fun. I'm diving in. It's a band that I'm trying to acquire a better appreciation for. So it should be an interesting process. And hopefully you guys will be forgiving of me as I try to navigate those waters and maybe give opinions that might not totally jive with how you feel if you're a big Marillion fan, because I'm still trying to acquire a taste for them because I've struggled with that in the past. But really liking this new album, so that might be a great gateway into their catalog. So number 2 on my items of news here is a new single from Pattern Seeking Animals called Rock, Paper, Scissors. I love Pattern Seeking Animals. They have a lot of members of Spock's Beard in the group. It's kind of almost a little mini subset of various Spock's Beard members, featuring Ted Leonard, of course, on vocals and guitars, Jimmy Keegan on drums, Dave Maros on bass, and John Bochold on keyboards. And this is from their upcoming 3rd studio album, Only Passing Through, which comes out April 1st. This is their critically acclaimed follow-up to their critically acclaimed album Prehensile Tales, which came out in 2020, which I absolutely loved. It was one of my top favorite albums of that time period. So really love it and really excited for what they're coming out with next. But this single is a pretty interesting one. It's kind of more of a smaller, kind of poppier song, kind of more of a ballad, kind of a more slower feel, but it's really, really pretty, really well written, has some interesting instrumentation, and has a video attached that I'll put in the description. And so I just wanted to point people's attention towards that. John Bochold comments about the song saying, "This is a cheery little tune about kids and the games they once played in a dystopian alternate universe." So really clever, strange lyrics, I suppose, about a very interesting concept. So that album is available for pre-order wherever you want to check out your records. It's a one that I have pre-ordered that I'm excited for. That'll definitely be reviewed on the channel when it comes out in April. So sounds like it has a lot of different styles and eclectic kind of tastes built into it, with things from jazz to kind of Western country maybe vibes in parts, and definitely the prog factor and some poppier melodies. So definitely they're a band to watch, and one that I'm really interested in. Now, item number 3, this is a pretty big one from my perspective. Pure Reason Revolution released a new single today called New Kind of Evil, along with an announcement of their upcoming album, which is called Above Cirrus, releasing May 6th on InsideOutMusic. So this is the follow-up to their 2020 album Eupnia, which came out. That was like kind of almost a reuniting or bringing back a band that had been dormant for quite some time. They were kind of big several years back before that. Had a couple albums that were really well regarded in the prog community, but kind of went silent, and people assumed they were kind of done as a band, but now they're back and releasing new music. So kind of an interesting group if you haven't heard of them. They have some prog influences, but they're not really the full-on retro symphonic prog that I tend to listen to. They're more modern, more kind of have this alternative kind of feel to them, but they have these vocal harmonies and pop kind of melodies as well, kind of pop hooks and things, but there's heavy guitars and kind of there's sometimes almost a metal side to their sound as well. Maybe grunge could be a way to describe it, different kinds of influences and things that are baked in, Pink Floyd, it's kind of a spacey kind of sound at times, kind of these extended pieces, but really kind of harder edged and modern and fresh. And I really like that kind of sound. So they're a really great group. The 3 members are John Courtney, Chloe Alper, and now joining them, returning as a full-time member, Greg Jong. So that's should be a really exciting record to jump into. The new single is pretty cool. I definitely recommend checking it out. It'll be linked in the description as usual. Just a really kind of expansive track with a lot of different moods and varieties, some heavier edge to it in certain sections, and some great harmonies and things. So they're definitely a band to watch, and I'm excited to see how this album does and how their kind of career continues. It seems like they're pretty excited about the album and some of the things that are coming from it. So just definitely one to kind of look up and check out. They're also doing a European tour in April throughout different places in Germany and Netherlands and France and London. So definitely some activity going on there to check out with them. So just a band I wanted to spotlight. I could see myself very easily covering that album on here as an album review, so I wanted to definitely point your attention towards that. Item number 4, this is kind of a shorter item, but I wanted to mention, once again, my ears are always perked up when I hear about a new band that's being signed to InsideOutMusic, one of my favorite prog labels. If you couldn't tell, that's what a lot of my content comes from, is their artists and the stuff that's happening on their label. And so they are signing a progressive metal quartet. This is a band hailing from Beijing, China. Kind of a interesting location. Like in the comment from Anthony Vanacore, who's the drummer of this group, he says this record is historic in many ways, as it, to my knowledge, is the first time a Chinese band has signed to a Western major record label. So kind of a unique situation, but apparently InsideOutMusic was really excited about what they heard from this group and what might be coming forward from them. So really cool to check out when it comes out later this year. The debut album is going to be called One, and they describe it as a combination of Devin Townsend, The Gathering, and Radiohead, to name a few, an extremely unique sound. So that should be something to look forward to. Definitely interesting to me, and I'll be looking up more updates from the group and seeing if there's more to talk about there and some music to review. If they come out with some sort of teaser or single or something, I'll definitely be listening and seeing what that sounds like. And then at number 5, I wanted to talk about Ryo Okumoto from Spock's Beard fame, of course, keyboardist extraordinaire, one of my favorite musicians, just a really great personality and a fun person. Is signing the contract to Inside Out once again for his new solo record, which is coming July 29th. I saw this on Facebook that he's signing that and getting ready for that release. July is coming up in a few months, so coming pretty eminently. Hopefully we'll be hearing some new music from it soon. But what's interesting to me is just the lineup of musicians on it. It's pretty expansive with a lot of different cool personalities. On guitars, we've got Steve Hackett's on the album, Mike Keneally, Mark Bonella, Randy McStein, Alan Morse, of course, from Spock's Beard, his fellow buddy, Michael Whiteman from I Am the Manic Whale. On bass, we have Dave Maros, of course, Doug Wimbish from Living Colour. On the drums, Nick DiVirgilio from Spock's Beard, Jonathan Mover, Mirko de Mao, who's on the new Flower Kings album, and some vocals from Michael Sadler, Randy McStein, Nick DiVirgilio, Ted Leonard, amongst others. So a big roster of kind of notable new prog musicians. Pretty much most of his Spock's Beard bandmates are on it, so there should be some basic Spock's Beard flavor to this as well. So definitely a really cool group of musicians and a cool new album to look forward to. So just wanted to highlight that as item number 5. And then number 6, kind of a bonus item that I want to spend some time on that I've been seeing circulate around. I was kind of conflicted if I wanted to talk about this or not, because it's a little bit outside of my realm a bit, but I feel like in the music circles it's been kind of prominent, so I wanted to give my small take on it. The platform Bandcamp is one that a lot of people use for new music, especially kind of more indie, underground type music. You know, it's a great place to go and check out things, and you can buy it, and a lot of it goes to the artists. Unlike, streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify, which not much goes to the artists, so a lot of people don't like those sorts of platforms because they don't support the artists very well. But Bandcamp kind of tries to change that a little bit and gives most of the profits to the artists, essentially. And they even do what they call Bandcamp Fridays, where they give an even bigger share to the artists. And so definitely today is actually a Bandcamp Friday, which I'll get to in a minute. But the interesting news is that Bandcamp is being acquired by Epic Games, which is kind of something I didn't expect, that a gaming company would acquire Bandcamp. And a lot of people are a little bit concerned what this means for the future of Bandcamp. Are they going to remain the kind of indie champion and supporting the artists as they have been, or is it going to change the nature of what's going to happen with them? Are they going to bring some new concepts that may not be as desired from a lot of people who use Bandcamp? And there's a lot of questions. It seems like the kind of official statement by Bandcamp kind of makes it sound like it's largely going to stay the same, and there won't be major changes away from their core concepts. But you never know when something like this happens, what will happen down the line. And some people are concerned because I believe Epic Games has kind of a share with Spotify, so that could be kind of a conflict of interest perhaps, or something of that nature. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this type of thing, but I know there's some concern over how this acquisition will affect Bandcamp, because a lot of people who love independent prog music, utilize it. So will it kind of go the way of some of these other streaming apps, or kind of embrace certain concepts like NFTs and different things that may not appeal to some of the people who tend to like this platform? So will they kind of morph into more of a streamer than purchasing music, which seems to be kind of their model? Who knows what's going to happen with it, but that's just something I wanted to kind of mention that I've been keeping my eye on and reading about. I know there's people out there who know way more about this stuff than I do, and I use Bandcamp some of the time to find new music and to purchase things that I'm not able to find elsewhere. There's a lot of artists that don't like, of course, to be on streaming platforms because of the reasons I mentioned. They don't get paid fairly. They don't feel like it's a fair model to their work. They want to get compensated for the work they're putting in, which is totally fair. So Bandcamp is a good way to kind of put out their material in a way. So I sometimes check it out on that if I want to purchase a digital version, or if it's a great way to support the artist, I'm on board with that. So but on Fridays, which I wanted to kind of get to at the end of this little segment here, this, I guess it's the first Friday of each month, they waive their revenue share to help support the artist by so they get an even bigger share of the profits on these Fridays. So today is one of those, and I saw a recommendation to kind of give some recommendations of things you can purchase on Bandcamp to support the artists on Bandcamp Friday, since more of the profits are going towards them. So I'm compiling a list in the description of different things you could check out on Bandcamp that have been interesting me, and I'm just going to go through some of that fairly quickly here. Two releases that are coming out today, I believe, that are pretty major that are on Bandcamp are Tiger Moth Tales, A Song of Spring, and Kite Parade, The Way Home. Tiger Moth Tales is the project of Pete Jones, very symphonic, classic prog, very Genesis inspired. A lot of great reviews and stuff coming in for this piece of work. He's definitely a great artist that deserves attention, and I'm hoping to cover the album in an upcoming week at some point, either as part of my upcoming New Music Shuffle for March, or just on its own. Kite Parade is a new artist that's kind of in a more poppy, kind of It Bites kind of vein. Brand new release that also is on the same label, I believe, with Tiger Moth Tales, so there's some shared DNA there. So those are two kind of releases that can be paired together. Is starting to release some singles in what they call the Endless Collection that I'm interested in. I love the band They're kind of a US-based band from New York that are really clever and do a lot of fun things. They're kind of modern sounding, but harken back to some classic artists like Yes and Genesis, and so I've always appreciated their work. Dirt Poor Robins is a band I've mentioned on the channel before, more of a modern rock kind of sound, kind of like the Deer Hunter or something like that. They're releasing their Queen of the Night series, which is kind of a YouTube, short films, but the soundtracks, the songs that accompany these short films are on Bandcamp as well. So they just released episode 3, which has some really great tracks on it. Carphagen, Anthony Kalugin's project, Land of Green and Gold, is on there, which is a great thing to support right now. It's a great support for a Ukrainian artist, and just beautiful kind of lush symphonic style. Some of that one plus Black Country New Roads is on there. Their new album Ants From Up There, which I covered in my latest New Music Shuffle, and then a couple new things that I'm kind of sampling and experimenting with for upcoming shows. Vast Conduit, Always Be There, Robert Reed and his Ringmaster Parts 1 and 2, a band called Lighthouse Sparrows and an album Aerials, Tony Patterson and Doug Melbourne, Dark Before Dawn, and then I also saw just popping up this morning a pre-order for the new Dave Kersner solo album, The Traveler, is out there on Bandcamp to purchase. So any of those things would support these artists, and all those links will eventually be in the description. I'm going to kind of populate the description and stuff once I'm done with this stream. So please check that out if you're interested in sampling any of those and supporting those artists. So that's kind of the main bulk of what I wanted to talk about today. So hopefully you appreciated something in that lineup of news and items, and there you go. So basically on the channel this past week, like I kind of alluded to, I did that New Music Shuffle style show, which was a lot of fun, where I highlighted a couple different releases that have come out in January and February of this year. And I'm planning to do another one at the end of March. I already have a couple albums that I'm already planning to feature in that show, so should be a pretty heavy show with a lot of different releases that should be pretty eclectic and fun. So that should be at the end of March. This next week, like I said, the new Flower Kings album review will be coming out, and then the week after that, the new Marillion album review will be coming as well. So those are two major releases. We're going to do some classic albums content, me and Jana. I'm going to work on that. I'm hoping to release tomorrow an interesting kind of bonus video about the concert experience that me and Jana had in Seattle with seeing the Neil Morse Band. So we're kind of putting that together. Could be kind of a bigger piece with some footage from the concerts, plus some photos and different memorabilia from the experience and the trip. It could be kind of a fun one. So check that out when that comes. And then, of course, just continuing on with the Jana Reacts stuff as normal. So, yeah. So basically kind of peeking in on the chat here. Yeah, it is a big week for Prog this week. Like I mentioned, Marillion and Flower Kings are two huge releases that I both strongly recommend, and I'll be covering in more depth soon. So excited to talk about that. Yeah, so I did, like I mentioned, see the Neil Morse Band in concert, and it was great. And hopefully I'll be releasing a video tomorrow, like I said, about the whole experience. I filmed a segment with Jana where we talked about it, and she's been assembling the video with, trying to put it together with different things that she'd filmed while we were out there in Seattle with pictures and all that kind of stuff. So it's been taking I kind of wanted that to come out this past week. I always struggle, getting a little behind the scenes a bit. I want to come out with stuff quickly because I want to kind of capture the moment of when it's really on people's minds and it's more significant. Like now Neil Morse Band's tour is over and it's not as much in the ether and stuff, but I hope people are still interested to hear and see what the experience was. Same with these album reviews. Sometimes I feel like I kind of come in late with these album reviews where most of the other reviewers that I at least, look at release these album reviews a lot sooner because either they get earlier copies or they just have a more prolific work ethic or something and are able to come out with these sooner. But for me, it takes a bit more time to delve in. I don't have as much listening time as I'd like because I can't really listen to music while I'm at work, which is a big chunk of my time during the week. So I try to get little listens in on my car rides to and from work and in the evenings and stuff. But sometimes it's hard on a certain week. So, yeah, that's kind of just a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on. So yeah, just kind of, I'm sorry if the reviews come out a little bit late after the excitement of it has kind of fizzled a bit, but hopefully it's still interesting to get kind of my thoughts on it anyways. That's my hope, at least with this channel. And, some people maybe, take a little bit of time to get into the album like I do. And so they are fine waiting for it. So, that's kind of my thing. So, yeah, so I think that's about it for the show today. So thank you guys for joining me, those that were in the chat. I appreciate people's support. I see a bunch of people in there. Thank you. Our Family in Motion, Andrew Hamer, Kent K, thank you for the for liking everything. Jefferson, the Prog Corner. Definitely check out the Prog Corner and his channel. Definitely a strong one. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention that I did last week that I was pretty proud of is my show with notes review on the Troika album. The DiVirgilio, Morrison, Jennings project that I really loved. I did a short video on this channel about it as well, but I went over to Notes and talked about it there, and we did kind of a duo review. So check that out on Notes Review. Definitely a fun time, and really appreciate going on that channel and, becoming fast friends over there. So I like this kind of prog community, in that we all kind of have our own stamp on what we do and have different voices and come together. So I know we share a lot of subscribers, me, Notes Reviews, Prog Corner, all of these different sites. But I think the more the merrier, right? The more people that are talking about this music, the more it gets spread and the more people love the genre. So, I try to just express positivity and joy for this music. And, I have a small following compared to some of these other people, but I appreciate that. I think it works for me and allows me to have more communication with specific subscribers and such. So I think it works. So, but yeah, I think that's a great place to end here. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for those who come in later. I'll put up a podcast version of this. The podcast version of New Music Friday will tend to come out Saturday because it takes some time to upload this and be able to download it and get a copy of it up to the podcast version. But I guess if you're hearing this, you probably don't need a podcast version because you've been watching this show. So, but I'm trying to build up the podcast version. It's not very popular, but I think some people appreciate having another format to listen. So I'm going to be uploading, some of my upcoming reviews on the podcast and so forth. I'm still trying to figure out how to work that. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Sorry for my stumbles, and, I'm not perfect at this still, but, I think it's kind of fun. And, I think it's a good way to interact, and it's a good way for me to kind of branch out and get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And, hopefully you guys appreciate this style. So thank you guys for joining me, and I'll hopefully see you in a future video. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, have a great time out there. Enjoy your music. If you're listening to the new Flower Kings or the new Marillion, sounds like there's something out there for everybody. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Bye.